What if a single flicker on a TV screen could ignite an entire nation's imagination? Before the world took notice, before streaming giants came calling, there was just a grainy image, a heartbeat of drums, and a story waiting to be told. How did that moment become the spark that built one of the world's biggest film industries? Let's rewind to where it all began. Enjoying what you are watching? Scan the QR code to join our community. Love what you're watching? QR's on screen. Scan it and join the community. Don't miss what's coming next. It began with a flicker, a grainy image, a beat of tribal drums, and a voiceover echoing tales of ancient kingdoms and modern dreams. That flicker was more than entertainment. It was a mirror through which Nigeria began to understand itself. In a continent that had long been documented through foreign lenses, Nollywood became Africa's reflection, reshaping how Africans saw themselves and how the world viewed Africa. The story of Nollywood is not simply one of growth or numbers. It is the story of hustle, identity, resilience, and cultural alchemy. It is the story of how a low-budget experiment birthed a cinematic juggernaut. This is how Nollywood, against all odds, became one of the most prolific film industries in the world. Enjoyed what you just watched? Scan the QR code to join our community from griot to celluloid. Long before cameras, scripts, or streaming platforms, Nigeria was already rich in storytelling. The griots of the north, the folktales of the Yoruba, the Igbo proverbs, the chants of the Niger Delta, these were our first cinemas. Stories were currency, shaping worldviews and preserving heritage. The colonial era introduced motion pictures to Nigeria, but they were foreign in both form and message. Early cinema in Nigeria was an extension of British propaganda, used to promote colonial ideals and Western lifestyles. Despite this, local theatre scenes began to grow. In the 1950s and 60s, legends like Hubert Ogunde and Duro Ladipo took traditional storytelling to the stage, eventually venturing into film. Movies like Kongi's Harvest and Things Fall Apart were produced in partnership with the Nigerian government and Western backers. These were monumental in scope, capturing the complexities of post-independence identity. However, these productions were expensive and infrequent. The seeds were planted, but Nollywood was still waiting to be born. The accidental birth of a giant in 92. Something unexpected happened. Kenneth Nabui, a trader based in Idumota, Lagos, had a batch of surplus VHS tapes imported from Asia. Rather than waste them, he decided to create a film and dub it directly onto the tapes. The movie was Living in Bondage, a supernatural thriller about a man who sacrifices his wife for wealth, only to be haunted by her ghost. Shot on a shoestring budget using a VHS camcorder, the movie had no big studio backing, no formal distribution network, and no cinema release. Yet it sold over 750,000 copies. Living in Bondage sparked a frenzy. It was the birth of Nollywood as we know it, fast, direct-to-video, emotionally charged, and deeply rooted in Nigerian spiritual and societal anxieties. Overnight, film became a market product, traded like pepper and palm oil in the open stalls of Idumota and Oliba. Nollywood had found its own grassroots distribution system. The filmmakers were traders, the marketers were producers, and the audience became the final judge of value. The marketplace is the studio. Nollywood's early model was uniquely informal and agile. Films were shot in 5 to 10 days. Actors often doubled as costume designers, sound engineers, and stunt coordinators. Post-production was done with off-the-shelf software, and scripts were sometimes written the night before. It wasn't perfect, but it was powerful. Why did it work? Because it was hyper-local. Stories about wayward pastors, corrupt politicians, village witches, urban romances, and spiritual battles resonated deeply with audiences. They were stories for us, by people like us. Pidgin English made the films accessible. Regional languages increased reach. These weren't foreign fantasies, they were Nigerian realities. By the early 2000s, Nollywood was producing more than 1,500 films a year. Lagos became the epicenter, but production hubs sprang up in Enugu, Asaba, Abuja, and Kano. Nollywood was no longer a novelty, it was a behemoth. The language of legacy. What made Nollywood unique was its multilingual tapestry. Unlike Bollywood, which was largely unified around Hindi, Nollywood thrived in English, Yoruba, Hausa, Igbo and Pidgin. Each language brought with it cultural nuances, idioms, fashion, music and mythology. Hausa language cinema, known as Kannywood, developed its own ecosystem in the north. Yoruba language films dominated southwestern Nigeria with strong roots in traditional theatre. Igbo films carried the metaphysical weight of ancestral beliefs. English language productions served as the bridge to international markets. These linguistic identities didn't fragment Nollywood. They enriched it. They gave it depth, authenticity and flexibility. They made Nollywood a living archive of Nigeria's plural identity. Exporting identity, as Nigerians migrated, Nollywood travelled with them. DVDs of Karishika, Blood Money and End of the Wicked found their way into salons in London, barbershops in New York and living rooms in Johannesburg. These films were more than entertainment for the diaspora. They were emotional lifelines, cultural artefacts, memory banks. Nollywood became the glue that connected Nigerian immigrants to home. In places where African immigrants were often stereotyped or invisible, Nollywood made them visible. Soon, the global appetite grew. Platforms like Iroko TV emerged in the 2010s to digitally distribute Nollywood content. For the first time, a Nigerian in Germany or a Ghanaian in Canada could stream Nollywood legally. The diaspora audience wasn't just passive. They became investors, influencers and curators. The rise of prestige cinema Nollywood's reputation was once tainted by quantity over quality criticism. But by the late 2010s, a new wave of filmmakers began to elevate the craft. Directors like Kunle Afolayan, The Figurine, October Fits, Kemi Adetiba, King of Boys, and Izu Ojoku, 76, led the charge. These films featured better cinematography, tighter scripts, and deeper character development. They dealt with heavy themes, military coups, gender politics, religious extremism, without losing commercial appeal. Streaming giants noticed. Netflix, Amazon Prime, and Showmax began investing. In 2020, Netflix released Loture, a gritty drama about human trafficking. King of Boys, The Return of the King, became the first Netflix original series out of Nigeria. Suddenly, Nollywood was not only prolific, it was prestigious. The women who built the industry have been at the heart of Nollywood since its inception. From iconic actors like Liz Benson and Genevieve Naji to powerhouse producers like Moa Budu and Amemi Song, women have shaped Nollywood's stories, business models and global reach. In front of the camera, female-driven narratives tackled issues like domestic abuse, motherhood, politics and spirituality. Behind the scenes, women directed studios, launched streaming platforms and mentored the next generation. Genevieve's Lionheart became the first Nigerian film acquired by Netflix. Mo Ebudu's Ebony Life Studios struck major co-production deals with Sony and AMC. Kemi Adetiba created one of the most successful franchises with King of Boys. This isn't just representation, it's leadership, the business of dreams. Despite Nollywood's cultural success, its business side remains complex. Piracy remains rampant, draining millions from potential profits. Distribution is fragmented and funding is often elusive. Yet the ecosystem adapts. Independent producers now crowdfund on social media. Private cinema chains like Filmhouse and Genesis are expanding. The Nigerian government has launched grants and policies to support the creative economy. Film festivals like EFRIF, Africa International Film Festival, and AMAA, Africa Movie Academy Awards, are creating networking platforms for filmmakers. Collaborations with South Africa, Kenya, Ghana, and even the Caribbean are reshaping African cinema into a continental force. Nollywood is becoming not just a film industry, but an economic engine, streaming, scaling, and storycraft. The streaming era has reshaped Nollywood. Global platforms now acquire Nollywood originals and fund new productions. The economics are shifting, from DVD units to licensing fees, from Alaba bootlegs to subscription analytics. But it also comes with challenges. International platforms often prefer English language content, risking the marginalisation of regional languages. Creative control is often negotiated. Budgets have grown, but so have expectations. Still, the stories keep coming. Shantytown, Far From Home, Anikulapo. These are not just shows. They are cultural milestones. They bring new aesthetics, social critique, and global production value. Young Nigerian creators are reshaping Nollywood with bold, digital-first storytelling. From smartphones to global platforms, they're building on a rich legacy with fresh, fearless voices. Nollywood isn't just big, it's essential. Scan the QR on screen to join the community. Like, subscribe, and keep celebrating African storytelling.